The Great Hall of the Galactic Council was the largest room ever built by any species. It floated in the middle of neutral space, far from any star or planet. The ceiling stretched so high that clouds sometimes formed inside. Thousands of seats rose in circles around a central platform, and today every seat was full. Ambassador Park Taiho walked slowly through the main entrance. His footsteps echoed in the sudden silence. He was a tall man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had served humanity for 40 years in this hall. He had smiled when he wanted to scream. He had shaken hands with creatures who had ordered the deaths of human colonists. He had played the game of galactic politics because Earth needed him to play it, but not anymore. The alien delegates watched him with their many eyes. Some had scales. Some had fur. Some had no bodies at all, just floating clouds of gas held together by magnetic fields. They came from 1,000 different worlds, and they all shared one thing. They did not respect humanity. Taiho remembered his first day in this hall, 37 years ago. He had been young and hopeful. He had believed that if humanity showed enough patience, enough kindness, enough willingness to compromise, the galaxy would accept them. He had been a fool. He reached the central platform and stood before the High Speaker. The High Speaker was a creature called Vaughn, from a race of tall, thin beings with blue skin and 4 arms. Vaughn had been High Speaker for 60 years. He had seen many human ambassadors come and go. He looked down at Taiho with something like amusement. "Ambassador Park," Vaughn said. His voice was smooth and cold. "You requested to address the council. This is unusual. Humanity normally waits to be spoken to." Soft laughter rippled through the hall. Taiho did not react. He had heard worse. "I will be brief," Taiho said. He reached into his coat and pulled out a small device. He pressed a button and a holographic document appeared in the air above him. The text was in every language of the council, scrolling slowly so all could read. "What is this?" Vaughn asked. His 4 arms shifted with annoyance. "This is humanity's formal withdrawal from the Galactic Council," Taiho said. Effective immediately. The silence that followed was absolute. For a long moment, no one moved. Then the hall exploded with noise. Delegates shouted in 100 languages. Some laughed. Some screamed. Vaughn raised all 4 arms for silence, but it took a full minute for the chaos to settle. "You cannot be serious," Vaughn said. "Humanity needs the council. You need our trade. You need our protection. Without us, your species will collapse within a generation." Taiho smiled. It was not a kind smile. "That is what you believe. That is what you have always believed. You think we are weak. You think we are desperate. You think we will endure any insult, any betrayal, because we have no choice." He paused and looked around the hall. Thousands of alien eyes stared back at him. "You are wrong," he said. The Draven ambassador, a massive creature covered in black scales, rose from his seat. "This is a bluff," he growled. "Humans are always bluffing. They talk big, but they always come back to the table. They always beg for one more chance." Taiho turned to face the Draven. 17 years ago, your empire attacked the human colony on Vega Prime. 6 million people lived there. Farmers, teachers, children. Your warships burned them all. When we came to this council for justice, you know what happened? Nothing. The council voted that it was an internal matter. 6 million dead. And you face no consequences. The Draven ambassador shifted uncomfortably, but said nothing. Taiho pointed to another section of the hall. 11 years ago, the Marathi collective violated our trade agreements. They seized 300 human merchant ships. They enslaved the crews. When we asked for help, the council told us to negotiate. We negotiated for 4 years. We got nothing back. Not the ships. Not our people. Nothing. The Marathi delegates, small creatures with too many legs, clicked their mandibles in anger, but did not speak. 5 years ago, Taiho continued, the Valori Empire signed a mutual defense treaty with Earth. 6 months later, when the Carthan raiders attacked our outer colonies, the Valori did nothing. They watched from their borders while 50,000 humans died. When we reminded them of their treaty obligations, they said the treaty was subject to interpretation. He turned back to Vaughn. I could continue. I could list every broken promise, every betrayal, every time this council chose to look away while humans suffered. But what would be the point? You know what you have done. You simply do not care. Vaughn leaned forward. Ambassador Park, you are emotional. I understand. But you must think of your people. Without council membership, humanity will be alone. The galaxy is dangerous. There are raiders, pirates, hostile empires. Who will protect you? We will protect ourselves, Taiho said. More laughter filled the hall. A delegate from the Phoenix Union, a bird-like creature with golden feathers, spoke up. With what? Your tiny fleet? Your primitive weapons? Humanity has been in space for only 300 years. We have been here for millennia. You are children playing at being adults. Taiho did not respond to the insult. Instead, he pressed another button on his device. A new holographic image appeared, a star map showing human space. The delegates leaned forward to look. This is humanity's territory, Taiho said. 47 colony worlds, 800 billion people. For 300 years, we have focused on trade and diplomacy. We have kept our military small because we believed the council would protect us. We believed in cooperation. We believed in peace. He pressed another button. The map changed. Red dots appeared on every human world and then expanded outward. Lines connected the dots, showing a vast network that no one in the council had ever seen. This is what we have been building while you laughed at us, Taiho said. Defense platforms, shipyards, weapons factories. Enough to protect every human world without any help from any of you. The laughter stopped. You are lying, Vaughn said. But there was doubt in his voice now. I am not lying, Taiho said. Humanity has spent the last 50 years preparing for this moment. We hoped we would never need to use what we built. We hoped the council would change. We hoped that someday someone would treat us with basic respect. But hope is not a strategy. And we are done hoping. He turned off the holographic display and looked around the hall one last time. This is goodbye, he said. From this moment forward, humanity conducts no diplomacy with any member of the Galactic Council. We will not respond to your messages. We will not attend your meetings. We will not trade with you, fight alongside you, or ask anything of you. You wanted us gone? We are gone, forever. He walked toward the exit. Behind him, chaos erupted again. Delegates shouted questions. Some demanded he return. Some threatened war. Some simply stared in shock. Vaughn's voice cut through the noise. Ambassador Park, if you walk out that door, there is no coming back. Humanity will be alone. You will have no allies. No friends. Nothing. Taiho stopped at the door. He did not turn around. We have been alone from the beginning, he said. The only difference is that now we admit it. He walked out. The door closed behind him, and he allowed himself one deep breath. His hands were shaking. He had just changed the course of human history. He had just told the most powerful beings in the galaxy to go to hell. His assistant, a young woman named Kim Jian, was waiting in the hallway. She had tears in her eyes. Is it done? She asked. It is done, Taiho said. Send the signal to Earth. Tell them it is time. Jian nodded and activated her communicator. Across the galaxy, on Earth and every human colony, people were about to receive the news. Some would be afraid. Some would be angry. But most, Taiho believed, would be relieved. They had waited so long for this moment. They had suffered so much no more as they walked toward their ship. Taiho heard the continued shouting from the council hall. The aliens were arguing about what to do. Some wanted to chase him down. Some wanted to declare war. Some wanted to send emergency envoys to Earth. Let them argue, Taiho thought. Let them panic. Let them finally understand what it feels like to be ignored. He boarded his ship and sat in the captain's chair. Through the window, he could see the massive council station, home to the government of 1,000 worlds. He had spent decades of his life in that place. He had given everything to the dream of galactic unity. The dream was dead, but something else was being born. "Take us home," he told the pilot. The ship's engines activated, and they jumped into hyperspace. Behind them, the Galactic Council descended into chaos. Messages flew in every direction. Emergency meetings were called. For the first time in 10,000 years, the Council had no idea what to do. Humanity was gone, and the galaxy would never be the same. The first week after humanity's withdrawal was filled with laughter. In the halls of the Galactic Council, delegates joked about the foolish humans. They made bets about how long it would take for Earth to come crawling back. Some said a month. Some said a year. No one thought it would last. "They will starve without our trade," said the Phoenix delegate. "Their economy depends on our resources." "They will be destroyed without our protection," said the Draven ambassador. "The first pirate fleet that finds them will eat them alive." High Speaker Vaughn smiled at these comments. He had seen many young species try to leave the council. They always returned. The galaxy was too dangerous, too complex for any single species to survive alone. Humanity would learn this lesson soon enough. But the days passed, and humanity did not return. Admiral Choi Yuna sat in the command center of the UE as Indomitable, the largest warship humanity had ever built. She was 52 years old, with short black hair and a scar across her left cheek from a battle she never talked about. She had served in the human fleet for 30 years, and she had waited her entire career for this moment. "Status report," she said. Her second-in-command, Captain Baek Jinho, pulled up a holographic display. "All human embassies have been closed. Personnel have been evacuated. The last diplomatic ship left Valori space 3 hours ago. Communications? Silent. We have received over 10,000 messages from various alien governments. We have responded to none of them." Yuna nodded. "Good. What about our borders?" "All defense platforms are active. Every hyperspace lane leading to human territory is being monitored. If anyone tries to enter our space without permission, we will know." Yuna looked at the star map floating in front of her. 47 human worlds spread across a small corner of the galaxy. For 300 years, this territory had been seen as unimportant. Too small. Too weak. Not worth conquering, but also not worth protecting. That perception was about to change. "Begin Phase 2, Yuna said. Captain Jinho hesitated. "Admiral, are you sure? Once we do this, there is no going back." "There was never any going back," Yuna said. "Ambassador Park made that clear. We are committed. Send the order." Jinho nodded and activated the fleet-wide communication system. "All ships, this is command. Begin Phase 2. I repeat, begin Phase 2. Across human space, thousands of ships received the message. Freighters that had been sitting in ports for months suddenly activated their engines. Military vessels that had been hiding in asteroid fields emerged into open space. Construction ships that had been building in secret moved to reveal their work, and the galaxy noticed. The first alien to truly understand what was happening was a Valori merchant named Kress. He was the captain of a trading vessel that had done business with humans for 20 years. When the withdrawal was announced, he assumed it was temporary. Humans loved to trade. They would not give up their best customers so easily. He flew to the border of human space, expecting to find the usual trading stations and customs checkpoints. Instead, he found a wall. Thousands of defense platforms hung in space, connected by energy shields that glowed a soft blue. Behind them, he could see warships. Not the small patrol vessels he was used to seeing. These were massive, bristling with weapons covered in armor. There were dozens of them. Hundreds. Kress tried to contact the nearest station. "This is Valori trading vessel Starwind, requesting permission to enter human space for commercial purposes." The response came immediately. It was a recorded message. "Attention. You have reached the border of United Earth territory. Humanity has withdrawn from the Galactic Council and suspended all diplomatic and commercial relations with Council member states. You do not have permission to enter. Turn back now. This is your only warning." Kress stared at his screen in disbelief. He tried again and again. Each time, he received the same recorded message. No human would speak to him. No human would even acknowledge that he existed. He turned his ship around and flew back to Valori space as fast as his engines could carry him. When Kress reported what he had seen, the Valori government did not believe him. They sent a diplomatic mission to investigate. The mission found the same wall, the same message, the same absolute silence. The Valori began to worry. They were not the only ones. The Marathi collective sent scouts to probe human defenses. 2 scouts never returned. The others reported massive military buildups on every human world. The Draven Empire, which bordered human space on 3 sides, detected weapons tests in uninhabited systems. The power readings were off the charts. On the Galactic Council Station, emergency meetings were held daily. High Speaker Vaughn tried to maintain order, but the delegates were frightened now. "How did they build so much without us knowing?" demanded the Phoenix delegate. "Our spies saw nothing. Our sensors detected nothing. They have been planning this for decades," said a quiet voice. It belonged to the representative of the Corvin, a species of telepaths who rarely spoke in council sessions. "Humanity has been preparing for withdrawal since before most of us were born. They knew this day would come." "Impossible," said the Draven ambassador. "Humans cannot keep secrets. They are too emotional, too open. We would have known." "You underestimate them," the Corvin said. "You have always underestimated them. That is why we are in this situation." The argument continued for hours. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the effects of humanity's silence were beginning to spread. The Valori Empire was the first to feel real pain. They had become dependent on human medicine. Human scientists had developed treatments for diseases that no other species could cure. Every year, millions of Valori received human drugs to manage chronic conditions. Without those drugs, they would die. The Valori Health Ministry sent urgent requests to every human medical station. No response. They offered to pay double, triple, 10 times the normal price. No response. They begged. They threatened. They pleaded. Silence. Within a month, Valori hospitals were overwhelmed. Patients who had been stable for years suddenly deteriorated. Doctors tried to create substitutes for human medicines, but they did not have the knowledge or the technology. They watched their patients die and could do nothing. The Valori Emperor, a proud being who had never apologized for anything in his long life, sent a personal message to Earth. He asked for a meeting. He offered concessions. He promised to support humanity in the Council, to vote for their interests, to treat them as true partners. Admiral Yuna received the message. She read it carefully. Then she deleted it without responding. They only want to talk because they are suffering. she told Captain Jinho. Where were their kind words when we were suffering? Where was their partnership when our colonists were dying? They are powerful, Jinho said. If we make enemies of the Valori, they were already our enemies, Yuna interrupted. They just pretended to be our friends. At least now we are being honest with each other. The Valori were not the only ones who needed something from humanity. The Moradi Collective had built their economy on trade routes that passed through human space. Without access to those routes, their ships had to travel twice as far to reach their markets. Fuel costs doubled. Delivery times tripled. Contracts were broken. Companies collapsed. The Phoenix Union had relied on human engineers to maintain their oldest space stations. Those stations were centuries old, built with technology that the Phoenix had forgotten how to repair. Human engineers were the only ones who understood the ancient systems. Without them, the stations began to fail. Life support flickered. Artificial gravity stuttered. Evacuation orders were issued. Even the mighty Draven Empire was affected. They had conquered dozens of worlds, but they had never learned to grow food efficiently. Human agricultural experts had taught them everything they knew. Human seeds and fertilizers fed their population. Without human support, their harvest failed. Rationing began. Riots followed, and through it all, humanity said nothing. On Earth, life continued as normal. Factories produced goods for human consumption. Ships traveled between human worlds. Children went to school. Workers went to their jobs. The economy, which everyone had predicted would collapse, was stable. Actually, it was growing. Prime Minister No Hyunji addressed the human population in a broadcast that reached every colony. She was a small woman with kind eyes and a voice like steel. For 300 years, we have given our best to the galaxy, she said. Our medicine, our technology, our knowledge, our labor. And what did we receive in return? Contempt, betrayal, violence. Our people died and the galaxy laughed. She paused. Her expression hardened. No more. From this day forward, humanity serves only humanity. Our doctors will heal human patients. Our engineers will build human stations. Our farmers will feed human children. If the galaxy wants our help, they know what they must do. Until then, we will not answer their calls. We will not acknowledge their existence. They treated us like nothing. Now they will learn what nothing feels like. The broadcast ended. Across human space, people cheered. But on the council station, High Speaker Vaughn watched the recording with growing fear. He had lived for 200 years. He had seen empires rise and fall. He had thought he understood power. He had been wrong. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was not desperate. Humanity had simply been waiting, and now the waiting was over. Vaughn called an emergency meeting of the council's senior members. They gathered in his private chambers. The most 3 months had passed since humanity's withdrawal. The galaxy was no longer laughing. General Kang Minho stood on the observation deck of Station Prime, humanity's largest military installation. Through the reinforced windows, he could see the shipyard stretching into the darkness of space. Hundreds of construction platforms worked day and night, building warships that would have been unthinkable a year ago. He was 61 years old, a career soldier who had spent his life preparing for a war he hoped would never come. His hair was white now, and his hands were rough from decades of service. But his eyes were sharp, and his mind was sharper. He had designed humanity's defense network, and today he would reveal it to the galaxy. The aliens are getting restless, said his aide. Lieutenant Hong Dan. She was young, barely 30, but she had earned her position through talent and dedication. Intelligence reports that several species are considering military action. Which ones? Minho asked. The Draven, primarily. They are angry about the food shortages. Some of their generals are calling for an invasion of human agricultural worlds. Minho nodded slowly. And the others? The Marathi are building up forces near our border. The Fenix are too busy dealing with their failing stations to think about war. The Valori. Dan paused. The Valori are dying. They have no energy for anything else. What about the council itself? Has Vaughn made any moves? He has proposed a unified fleet. All council members contributing ships for a joint operation against humanity. To force us back to the negotiating table, as he put it. Minho laughed. It was not a happy sound. They still think they can force us to do anything. They still do not understand. He turned away from the window and walked to the command center. Dozens of officers sat at their stations, monitoring every corner of human space. Holographic displays showed fleet positions, defense grid status, and intelligence reports from 1,000 sources. Open a channel, Minho said. Broadcast to all ships, all stations, all colonies. And make sure the aliens can hear it too. Dan's eyes widened. Sir, you want to broadcast to the aliens? I want everyone to hear what I am about to say. It is time for the galaxy to learn the truth about humanity. The communication officers worked quickly. Within minutes, the channel was open. Minho's voice would reach every human ear and every alien sensor in range. My name is General Kang Minho, he began. I am the commander of United Earth's military forces. For the past 50 years, I have overseen the development of our defense capabilities. Today, I will show the galaxy what we have built. He pressed a button, and a massive holographic display appeared in the center of the command room. The same image was broadcast across every human world, and every alien ship monitoring their communications. It was a map of human space. But it was not the map the galaxy knew. This is the official record of human military assets as reported to the Galactic Council, Minho said. A small number of dots appeared on the map. 200 warships, 50 defense stations, minimal ground forces. This is what we allowed you to see. The display changed. The dots multiplied, and multiplied again. This is the truth. The map was now covered in red. Ships, stations, weapons platforms, ground installations. They were everywhere. Around every world. Along every border. Hidden in every asteroid field and gas cloud. 12,000 warships, Minho said. 800 orbital defense platforms. 2,000 ground-based weapon systems capable of striking targets in space. 30 million active military personnel. This is what humanity has built while the galaxy was laughing at us. On the council station, High Speaker Vaughn stared at the broadcast in horror. Around him, delegates from 100 species watched in stunned silence. That is impossible, whispered the Fenix representative. We would have detected construction on that scale, would you? Vaughn replied. His voice was hollow. We detected nothing. We assumed they had nothing. We were fools. Minho continued his broadcast. For 300 years, humanity presented itself as weak and harmless. We did this deliberately. We knew that the galaxy feared any species that grew too powerful. We knew that if we showed our true strength, you would unite against us before we were ready. So we hid. We built in secret. We waited. The display zoomed in on a single system. It showed a planet surrounded by dozens of defense platforms, each one larger than the largest alien warship. Every human world is protected by a shield grid, Minho explained. These platforms can generate energy barriers capable of stopping any weapon known to exist. Behind these shields, ground-based railguns can fire projectiles at a significant fraction of the speed of light. One hit from these weapons can destroy a capital ship. Each planet has hundreds of them. The display zoomed out again, showing the hyperspace lanes that connected human worlds to the rest of the galaxy. Every approach to human space is mined, not with conventional explosives, but with gravity wells. Any fleet that tries to enter our territory through hyperspace will be pulled out of transit into a kill zone. Our ships will be waiting. There will be no escape. In the Draven Empire, the generals who had been planning invasion watched the broadcast with pale faces. One of them quietly ordered the attack plans to be destroyed. "We do not want war," Minho said. "We have never wanted war. Everything we have built is for defense. We will not invade your worlds. We will not conquer your territory. We will not seek revenge for the suffering you have caused us. All we want is to be left alone." He paused. His expression hardened. "But if you attack us, we will destroy you. Not defeat you. Destroy you. We will burn your fleets. We will shatter your stations. We will reduce your military to nothing. And then we will go home, because we do not want your worlds. We only want our peace." The broadcast ended. Across the galaxy, there was silence. On the council station, the delegates erupted into chaos. Some demanded immediate military action. Others called for surrender. Some simply sat in shock, unable to process what they had learned. High Speaker Vaughn raised his hands for order. It took a long time for the noise to die down. "We must consider our options carefully," he said. "General Kang may be bluffing. The display could have been fabricated. And if it was not?" asked the Corvin representative. "If even half of what he showed is real, any attack on humanity would be suicide. We outnumber them 1,000 to 1, the Draven ambassador growled. "If we combine our forces are scattered across 1,000 worlds," the Marathi delegate interrupted. "Humanity's forces are concentrated. By the time we could assemble a fleet large enough to challenge them, they would have destroyed us one piece at a time." The argument continued for hours. Meanwhile, on Earth, Prime Minister No Yoonji met with her senior advisors in the Global Command Center beneath Seoul. "The broadcast worked," reported Defense Minister Han Sejin. "Our intelligence assets confirm that several planned attacks have been cancelled. The Draven have pulled their forces back from our border. The Marathi are talking about negotiation." "And the Valori?" Yoonji asked. "Still dying. They have sent 17 more requests for medical aid." "Should we respond?" Yoonji was quiet for a moment. The Valori had signed a treaty with humanity. They had promised to defend human colonies. When the time came, they had done nothing. They had watched humans die and calculated that it was not in their interest to help. "No," she said finally. "We will not respond. Let them experience what it feels like to be abandoned." "Prime Minister," said Foreign Minister Lee Sora, "if the Valori collapse, it could destabilize the entire region. Other species might try to fill the power vacuum. It could lead to war." "Then they will have war," Yoonji said. "It will not involve us. We have made our position clear. We are not part of the galaxy anymore. But, Sora," Yoonji's voice was gentle but firm, "I understand your concerns. You have spent your career building bridges with other species. It is hard to watch those bridges burn. But we did not start this fire. We tried everything. We gave everything. And we received nothing in return. It is time to stop giving." Sora nodded slowly. She did not agree, but she understood. Humanity had been pushed too far. In the weeks that followed, the galaxy underwent a transformation. The Valori Empire, once one of the great powers, began to fracture. Provinces that had been held together by central authority started to break away. Civil war seemed inevitable. The Marathi collective suffered an economic collapse. Without the trade routes through human space, their commercial network could not function. Companies that had dominated galactic markets for centuries went bankrupt overnight. The Phoenix Union evacuated 3 ancient stations that had failed completely. Millions of refugees fled to overcrowded worlds that did not want them. Even the mighty Draven Empire felt the effects. The food shortages grew worse. The rationing became stricter. The riots became larger. For the first time in their history, the Draven faced the possibility that their empire might not survive. And through it all, humanity prospered. Without the burden of galactic trade. Human industries refocused on human needs. Without the drain of one-sided alliances, human resources went to human projects. Without the constant insults and betrayals, human morale soared. General Minho reviewed the latest reports with satisfaction. Everything was going ACO. 6 months after humanity's withdrawal, the first alien ship arrived at Earth. It was a small vessel, barely larger than a shuttle. It carried no weapons, no shields, no military personnel. It bore the markings of the Valori Empire, and it moved slowly, carefully, making sure that every sensor in the solar system could see that it posed no threat. Admiral Choi Yuna watched it approach from the bridge of the Indomitable. Her fleet surrounded the tiny ship like wolves circling a wounded deer. "They have sent a request for permission to land," reported Captain Baek Jinho. "The passenger is Ambassador Kren, the Valori Emperor's personal envoy. He says he comes in peace." "They always say that," Yuna replied. "Has he been scanned?" "Yes, Admiral." "Admiral? No weapons. No surveillance equipment. No biological agents. Just one old Valori and a lot of desperation." Yuna considered for a moment. The standing orders were clear. No contact with any alien government. But this was different. The Valori had sent their highest-ranking diplomat. They were begging for a meeting. "Contact Prime Minister No," Yuna said. "Let her make the decision." 2 hours later, the Valori shuttle received permission to land. Not at any government facility, but at a small private airfield in the mountains of Korea. Ambassador Kren would meet with one representative of the human government. If he tried anything suspicious, he would be killed immediately. Foreign Minister Lee Sora was chosen for the meeting. She flew to the airfield in the early morning, when the mist still clung to the peaks and the air was cold and clean. She wore a simple gray suit and carried nothing but a datapad. 2 security officers accompanied her, but they stayed out of sight. The Valori shuttle landed precisely on time. The door opened and Ambassador Kren emerged. He was old. Sora could tell even without knowing much about Valori biology. His blue skin had faded to a pale gray. His forearms moved slowly, as if each movement caused pain. His eyes, which should have been bright silver, were dull and clouded. "Foreign Minister Lee," he said. His voice was weak. "Thank you for agreeing to see me." Sora did not offer her hand. She did not bow. She simply stood and waited. Kren understood. He shuffled forward until he stood a few meters from her, then stopped. "I have come to apologize," he said. "For what, specifically?" Sora asked. Her voice was cold. "For everything? For the broken treaties. For the abandoned colonies. For the silence when your people died. For the centuries of disrespect. For all of it. And you think an apology will fix things?" Kren closed his eyes. "No, I know it will not. But I had to try. My people are dying, Minister Lee. Not just from the lack of medicine. We are dying because we have lost hope. We built our civilization on the belief that we were superior to everyone else. Now we know that belief was a lie. We cannot accept it. We are destroying ourselves." Sora felt something stir in her chest. It might have been pity. She pushed it down. "The Valori Empire signed a mutual defense treaty with humanity," she said. "When the Carthan raiders attacked our colonies, you did nothing. 50,000 people died while your fleet sat at its bases and watched." "I know," Kren whispered. "Why?" "We had a treaty." You gave your word. Kren was silent for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was barely audible. Because we did not believe you mattered. You were humans. Young, weak, insignificant. The Carthan were testing their strength against you. If we helped, we would make enemies of a powerful raider nation, for the sake of a species we considered worthless. It was not logical. Logic, Sora said. The word tasted bitter. I am not making excuses, Kren said quickly. I am telling you the truth because you deserve to know it. We betrayed you because we did not see you as equals. We saw you as tools. Resources to be used when convenient and discarded when not. We were wrong. We were so terribly wrong. Sora looked at the old alien for a long time. He stood in the cold mountain air, shivering slightly, waiting for her judgment. Do you know how many messages your empire has sent us since our withdrawal? She asked. I do not know the exact number. 47,000. Requests for medicine. Requests for technology. Requests for help. We have not answered a single one. Kren nodded. I know. Some of those messages were from hospitals. From doctors watching their patients die. From parents whose children were suffering. They begged us for help. They offered us anything we wanted. And we said nothing. Sora stepped closer to Kren. Her eyes were hard. Do you understand how that felt? To ignore the desperate pleas of innocent people? To know that we could help and choose not to? It was painful, Ambassador. Every day, we read those messages and felt sick. But we did it anyway. Do you know why? Kren shook his head. Because you taught us how. You showed us that the strong do not have to care about the weak. You demonstrated that treaties are just words. The promises mean nothing. That the only thing that matters is power. We learned your lesson well. Too well, perhaps. She turned away and looked at the mountains. The mist was starting to clear. I wanted to help, she said quietly. Every day, I went to the Prime Minister and argued for reopening negotiations. I said we were becoming monsters. I said we were losing our souls. And every day, she asked me the same question. What would the Valori do in our position? The answer was always the same. The Valori would do exactly what we are doing. So why should we be any different? Kren fell to his knees. His forearms spread out on the ground in a gesture of complete submission. Please, he said. I am not asking for myself. I am asking for my people. For the children who did not choose this path. For the innocent ones who are suffering for the sins of their leaders. Please, help us. Sora watched him kneel in the dirt. The most powerful diplomat in the Valori Empire. Reduced to begging before a species his people had dismissed as primitive animals. Get up, she said. Kren looked up. Hope flickering in his dim eyes. I will not make any promises, Sora continued. But I will take your message to the Prime Minister. I will tell her what you said. I will argue for compassion. But the decision is not mine to make. And I warn you, humanity has changed. The galaxy changed us. We are not the forgiving people we once were. I understand, Kren said. He rose slowly, painfully, to his feet. Thank you, Minister Lee. Thank you for listening. There is one more thing, Sora said. If we do decide to help, it will not be because of your apology. It will not be because we forgive you. It will be because we are better than you. Because we refuse to become what you tried to make us. Do you understand? Kren bowed his head. I understand. The meeting ended. Kren returned to his shuttle and flew back to space, carrying a tiny spark of hope with him. Sora flew back to Seoul, carrying a heavy weight of responsibility. The next day, more ships arrived. Not just from the Valori, but from other species as well. The Maraudis sent 3 ambassadors. The Phoenix sent a delegation of engineers, hoping to negotiate for help with their failing stations. Even the proud Draven sent a representative, a young general who had been ordered to explore the possibility of trade agreements. Earth became busy with alien visitors for the first time in 6 months. Each one was carefully screened, carefully monitored, and carefully kept away from any sensitive locations. They stayed in isolated facilities and met with human officials under strict conditions. And they all said the same thing. Please come back. Please help us. Please forgive us. Prime Minister No Yoonji read every report, every transcript, every analysis. She met with some of the ambassadors personally. She listened to their apologies, their explanations, their promises. Then she called a meeting of her senior advisors. They are sincere, said Defense Minister Han Seonjin. Our intelligence confirms that they are facing genuine crises. The Valori really are dying. The Morati really are collapsing. The Phoenix really are losing their stations. They need us. And the Draven? Yoonji asked. The Draven are hungry. Their pride is strong, but hunger is stronger. Give them another few months, and they will be as desperate as the rest. So what do we do? Foreign Minister Lee Sora spoke up. We have proven our point. The galaxy knows that we are strong. They know that we do not need them. If we help them now, it will be from a position of power, not weakness. We can set the terms. We can demand real changes, not empty promises. Oh, we can let them suffer, said General Kang Minho. They let us suffer for 300 years. A few more years of pain might ensure they never forget the lesson. We are not them, Sora said sharply. That is the whole point. If we become as cruel as they were, we lose something important. We lose ourselves. Yoonji held up her hand for silence. The room fell quiet. I have made my decision, she said. We will not forgive them. We will not forget what they did. But we will consider helping them. Not because they deserve it, but because we choose to be merciful. However, there will be conditions. Strict conditions. And if they fail to meet even one of them, we will withdraw again. Permanently this time. She looked around the room at her advisors. Prepare a list of demands. Make them fair but firm. The galaxy wants humanity back. Then they will have to earn us. The advisors nodded and set to work. Outside, in the skies above Earth, alien ships waited anxiously for news. Their governments monitored every communication, every rumor, every hint of what humanity might decide. The galaxy held its breath. And for the first time in 6 months, there was a small, fragile hope that things might change. But the aliens knew, deep in their hearts, that nothing would ever be the same. 1 year after humanity's withdrawal, Councilman Yoon Ha-jun walked into the Great Hall of the Galactic Council. He was not Ambassador Park Tae-ho, the man who had walked out of this hall 12 months ago. Tae-ho had retired, his mission complete. Ha-jun was younger, sharper, and carried himself with a confidence that no human representative had ever shown in this place. The hall was full, as it had been that day a year ago. But the atmosphere was different. There was no laughter now. No jokes about the foolish humans. The delegates watched Ha-jun with a mixture of fear, respect, and desperate hope. High Speaker Vaughn rose from his seat. He looked older than he had a year ago. The stress of the crisis had aged him badly. Councilman Yoon, Vaughn said, on behalf of the Galactic Council, I welcome humanity back. We are grateful that you have agreed to resume diplomatic relations. Ha-jun stopped at the central platform. He did not bow. He did not smile. I am not here to resume diplomatic relations, he said. I am here to establish new ones. The hall went silent. Humanity withdrew from this council because we were treated as inferior. For 300 years, our treaties were ignored. Our people were killed. Our calls for justice were dismissed. When we asked for help, we were told to solve our own problems. When we tried to solve our own problems, we were told we were being aggressive. He paused and looked around the hall. That era is over. Humanity is no longer asking for your approval. We are no longer begging for your protection. We are here because you asked us to come. And we have conditions. He pressed a button on his datapad. A holographic document appeared in the air above him, visible to every delegate in the hall. These are humanity's terms for rejoining the Galactic Council. They are not negotiable. You will accept them all, or we will leave, and we will never return. Vaughn reached out and pulled a copy of the document to his seat. As he read, his face grew pale. This is unprecedented, he said. So is abandoning human colonies to raiders. So is breaking treaty after treaty. So was watching millions of our people die while you calculated whether helping us was worth the cost. Vaughn continued reading. The other delegates accessed their own copies of the document. Whispers spread through the hall. You demand a permanent seat on the Security Council, Vaughn said. With veto power. Correct. You demand that the mutual defense treaties be rewritten with specific enforcement mechanisms. Correct. You demand that any species found violating a treaty with humanity face automatic economic sanctions from the entire council. Correct. You demand that humans be appointed to oversight positions in every major council institution. Correct. Vaughn set down his datapad. These demands would make humanity one of the most powerful species in the galaxy. More powerful than the Draven. More powerful than the Valori were before their collapse. You are asking us to fundamentally restructure the balance of power. Heijian nodded. Yes, that is exactly what we are asking. And if we refuse, then humanity will remain isolated. We will prosper alone, as we have prospered for the past year. And you will continue to suffer the consequences of your decisions. The Draven ambassador rose from his seat. He was different from the one who had mocked humanity a year ago. That ambassador had been removed after the food crisis nearly destroyed his empire. These terms are humiliating, the new ambassador said. You are asking us to admit that we were wrong. To give you power that you did not earn through conquest or achievement. Heijian turned to face him. We earned this power through 300 years of patience. Through 50,000 dead colonists. Through broken promises and betrayed treaties and suffering that you could have prevented with a single word. We earned this power by surviving everything you threw at us and emerging stronger. If you think that is not an achievement, then you have learned nothing. The Draven ambassador sat down without another word. Foreign Minister Lee Sora sat in the gallery, watching the proceedings. She had helped draft the terms that Heijian was presenting. She had argued against some of the harsher provisions, but she had been outvoted. Humanity was in no mood for mercy, but as she watched the alien delegates struggle with the document, she felt something unexpected. Not satisfaction, not triumph, just sadness. This was not how it was supposed to be. 300 years ago, humanity had entered the galactic community with dreams of friendship and cooperation. They had imagined a universe where different species worked together, shared knowledge, built something greater than any of them could build alone. That dream was dead now. In its place was something colder, something harder. The galaxy would accept humanity's terms, she knew. They had no choice. But it would not be a partnership. It would be a surrender. Maybe that was the only way it could ever have been. The debate continued for hours. Some delegates argued against the terms. Others argued for immediate acceptance. A few tried to negotiate minor changes, but Heijian rejected every modification. These terms are final, he said again and again. Accept them or watch us leave. Finally, High Speaker Vaughn called for a vote. All those in favor of accepting humanity's terms for rejoining the Galactic Council. Hands rose throughout the hall. The Valori voted yes immediately. The Moratti followed. The Phoenix, the Corvin, dozens of smaller species. One by one, the delegates committed their governments to the new order. The Draven ambassador hesitated. His empire was proud. His people would be humiliated. But his people were also hungry, and the human agricultural experts who could save them would only come if the terms were accepted. He raised his hand. "The vote is unanimous," Juan announced. "Humanity's terms are accepted. The United Earth Government is hereby granted full membership in the Galactic Council, with all rights and privileges specified in their agreement." He looked at Hejun with something that might have been respect or might have been fear. "Welcome back, Councilman Yoon." Hejun did not smile. He simply nodded and took his seat. The seat that humanity had been denied for 300 years. The seat that they had finally earned. The session continued with other business, but no one paid attention. The galaxy had just changed forever. In the weeks that followed, the effects of the new agreement spread across civilized space. Human medical teams arrived in Valori territory. They brought the medicines that the Empire desperately needed, and they trained local doctors to produce more. The death rate dropped immediately. The Valori Emperor sent a personal message of thanks to Prime Minister No Yoonji. She read it, noted it, and filed it away without response. Human engineers traveled to Phoenix stations. They studied the ancient systems, developed repair protocols, and stabilized the failing infrastructure. The evacuation stopped. The refugees began returning home. Human agricultural experts entered Draven space. They assessed the soil, analyzed the climate, and introduced new farming techniques. The harvests improved. The rationing ended. The riots stopped, and human ships began using the old trade routes again. But now they traveled under human protection. Human patrols guarded the hyperspace lanes. Human weapons defended the merchant convoys. No pirate would dare attack a ship flying the Earth flag. General Kang Minho watched these developments with quiet satisfaction. He had spent his life preparing for war, but the war had never come. Instead, humanity had won something far more valuable: respect. "Do you think it will last?" asked Lieutenant Hong Dan. She had been promoted to commander after the crisis, and she was one of the few people Minho trusted completely. "The peace?" Minho considered the question. "Yes, I think it will. Not because the aliens have changed, but because we have. They fear us now. They know what we can do, and they know that we will not hesitate to do it again." That seems like a sad way to keep the peace. It is. But it is the only way that works. Minho looked out at the stars. "The galaxy taught us a hard lesson, Dan. They taught us that kindness is weakness. That trust is foolishness. That the only thing anyone respects is power. We learned the lesson. We wish we had not needed to. But we did. So what happens now? Now we build. We grow. We become so strong that no one will ever threaten us again. And maybe, in 100 years or 1,000 years, we will meet a species that proves the lesson wrong. A species that treats us with genuine respect, not because they fear us, but because they value us. And when that happens, we will be ready to believe in friendship again. Do you think that day will come?" Minho smiled. It was a small smile, but it was real. "I hope so. Hope is what kept us going for 300 years. It can keep us going for 1,000 more." On Earth, Prime Minister No Yoonji addressed the human population one final time. "We have won," she said. "Not through war, not through violence, but through patience and strength and the refusal to accept anything less than we deserve. The galaxy that once laughed at us now respects us. The council that once ignored us now listens to our voice. The species that once betrayed us now depend on our help." She paused. "Some will say that we have